Monday, November 12th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning, I want to talk about how legalized plunder is nothing new at the Bank of England. And that's in relation to the recent story about Venezuela asking for 14 tons of its own gold that's stored at the Bank of England. Before that, of course, I've been away for a week. I made a couple of videos while I was away. And I want to talk a little bit about my time off as well. And I want to talk as well about the stock market, the British pound, and what's happening in relation to Brexit. Before that, though, I'll look at the markets and see what they're doing this morning. It's about 8:15 a.m. London time. So let's have a quick look here. So we've got spot gold down about $5. It's at 1204.50. I would say it's the Bank of England out there using probably Venezuela's gold to manipulate the price lower. Mainly because silver is virtually unchanged. The only thing that's really dropping out of bed is the British pound, which is down almost 1%, or 123 pips at 128.51. So I suspect that's what the Bank of England does. I noticed that a lot of times. It's not just the Chinese that keep sometimes their currency pegged to what gold does, but it's the Bank of England, probably through the BIS or probably even directly. So that's where we are right now. So gold is down 0.4%, but the pound is down 1%. For British pound holders, gold is still doing well. For dollar holders, it's frustrating right now. But as I said, longer term, gold has always been the best money to have. And it's even becoming a currency now. And I'll talk about that a little later. Silver. So I said silver is virtually unchanged. It's down a cent. So not even 0.1%. It's at 14.14. The Dow is down, 30, 26,018. S&P 500 is up 3.75 points at 27.83. And the NASDAQ 100 future is up 22 or 0.3%. So as I said, pound is down quite a lot this morning, down 1%. 128.48. I spoke a few weeks ago about how the pound looked quite bad, the head and shoulder formation, very long term. And then in the last 10 days last week, we've had a very strong rally in the pound, mainly because of hopes that Brexit was going to go through, that the Prime Minister in the UK, May, was negotiating something that was going to be good. But now it's all up in the air. Bloomberg says pressure mounts on May to abandon Brexit proposal. One of her major ministers resigned, saying that the UK needs a second Brexit referendum or vote. So that's what's happening. A lot of volatility still in the pound. And I'm sure the Bank of England is working overtime to manipulate the gold price in pounds with other people's money, of course. That's what they do. Euro is down 0.8%. So it's kind of following the pound a little bit, but yeah, so it's down 90 pips, 112.44. The dollar is a little stronger against the yen, up 0.25% at 114.09. What about the yuan? It's at 696.50. So yeah, the dollar is up 0.25%. So the dollar is a little stronger across the board against the other currencies, especially the pound and the euro this morning. What about the 10-year note yield? Let's have a look. 10-year note, 318. So yeah, that has come off. And I think today it's closed. It's I think they're observing Veterans Day in the U.S. I'm not sure. So the U.S. Treasury is closed. So public markets like debt markets are closed. So it says it's flatlined overnight. So The people are not trading treasuries at 318 the yield. I think last week we got up above 320, but now it's at 318. So, before I go further about the Bank of England and about the stock market a little bit, I'll talk about my holiday. I took exactly a week off. We left Sunday the 4th, and we came back yesterday, early evening. We got home around just after 6 in the evening. We flew to Gatwick from Tenerife. Tenerife is one of the Canary Islands, which belongs to Spain. It's part of Spain, but it's off the coast of Morocco, southern Morocco. It's in the Atlantic, and there's another interesting island there, which is further west from Tenerife. It's called La Palma, I think, and there's a big volcano there called Cumbre Vieja. We weren't there, of course, but because it would be a boat ride or a flight. And Cumbre Vieja, you probably heard about, is one of they have a volcano there that if it were to erupt very strongly, it could cause tidal waves all across the Atlantic, which is quite interesting. Anyway, yes, I had a really nice time. I went with my wife, my older sister and her son. My nephew was there. I played a lot of golf with them. My wife doesn't play golf, but she followed us around. She went in, we took a golf buggy. You know, I like walking, but that course was very, very long and very windy. So we decided to get a buggy. My wife drove my buggy, and my sister and my nephew were in the other buggy. So it was fun. It was great playing golf. Very nice golf course. But one of the interesting things was just to spend time with my sister and my nephew. We had breakfast together every day, and we had the dinner at the hotel. Really nice food, a buffet. You could choose whatever you wanted, and it was interesting. One evening, my nephew, he's 25, so he was about 8 years old when 9/11 happened, and he asked me, and we speak in English because my wife is English. Even though my sister lives in Switzerland and my nephew is, half Swiss, half Brazilian, he speaks very good English. So does my sister. He also speaks Swiss German and German. I think he speaks a bit of French, but he doesn't like speaking French. So we're speaking in English, and he said, "So what do you think of 9/11?" And I was like, whoa. And I said, well, I think it was an inside job. And he said, oh, I agree with you. I've been looking into it. And he started talking, And I thought that was interesting. And my sister went, whoa, like that. And then he started telling my sister about it. And my sister was like, she's not silly, my sister. She does think outside the box. But it looked like she didn't really want to believe in it. Not because she didn't think it might be true, but she thinks it's kind of horrible to think that your government or the U.S. government can do that to its own people. But that was really interesting, And I told them about the Pentagon. That the day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld said they were missing a few $1 trillion, and then the next day, whatever hit the Pentagon. It hit the department that, where they were going to investigate, where all the accounts were. And he started laughing. He was very funny. He's a good golfer, too. His handicap, I think, is about 10 or 11. Even though I'm a 6, I can tell you he hits the ball a mile, a lot longer than I do. And he used to be a very good skier because his dad was a good skier. And he skied for the Swiss team. Not in the World Cup, but in the second division. But he had to stop. He had quite a few injuries. And we were talking about the Swiss Army, because at 18, every Swiss male has to enlist and serve what I would say is more a militia than an army. And because of his injuries, he's got like a scar here and here. It dislocated his shoulder skiing. And when he went to sign up, they said because of medical insurance risk, we can't take you. And so what he does, and he said he doesn't mind. He has to pay the Swiss army because he's not serving 400 Swiss francs a year, and he said he doesn't mind doing that. So I think it's until he's 50 he'll have to do that, or maybe younger. My age might have changed, so it's very interesting. I even said to him, maybe we could do a Skype interview and you could talk about 9/11, and he laughed. So we'll see. Anyway, yeah, I got back yesterday. I only did a couple of videos there. It's hard. The place was a bit isolated. It was in the north of the island and not great Wi-Fi, and the privacy is not the same, doing the video. And it was nice to get away from, the routine. I think I've been doing a video every day for almost 18 months, even though I started the channel and doing the videos in November of 2015. It wasn't until later that I really, or maybe 2 years really, continuously, almost every day. So what about the Bank of England? Well, one of the big stories in the last week or two has been the fact that the Bank of England is refusing to repatriate 14 tons of Venezuela's gold that the country holds at the Bank of England, which is just over $500 million worth of gold. And their excuse is that they are concerned for the Venezuelan people, right? Concerned that the Venezuelan government will take that gold and use it for its own private gains, like the president of Venezuela. What the Bank of England doesn't even mention the fact that, Gordon Brown took half of this country's gold and sold it at the lows, 300 tons, and that was in the interest of the British people, right? The rumor has it that he did that to save Goldman Sachs's derriere because the other bullion banks, because they were massively short, paper gold, and the gold price was spiking. So no mention about that by the Bank of England. But when it's Venezuela, oh no, we're doing that for the good of the Venezuelan people. They can't have their gold. So it just goes to show you can't trust the Bank of England. Am I surprised about the story? Not a bit. Because if you've read this book, The Tower of Babel by Adam Libor, which is about the Bank for International Settlements, on page, on chapter 5, which is page 59, it's the chapter is entitled An Authorized Plunder. And it says here, and this is in relation to 1938, September of 1938, when Nazi Germany annexed Czechoslovakia. They invaded, and they went into Sudetenland, which was a province of Czechoslovakia, and they actually took took Czechoslovakia's gold, and they also asked for Czechoslovakia's gold to be at the BIS to be transferred to the Reichsbank accounts, and this is what happened. It says. They were wrong. The Czechoslovaks' faith in the probity of the BIS and the Bank of England was tragically misplaced. The gold was sacrificed with barely a second thought to the needs of transnational finance and the Third Reich. What else did it say? It says here, first order instructed the BIS to transfer 23.1 metric tons of Czechoslovak gold held at the BIS account at the Bank of England to the Reichsbank account, also held at the Bank of England. So there you go, the Bank of England, they're really concerned for people, the sheeple. They're so concerned about it that during, in 1938, they allowed the Nazi government to take, Czechoslovak gold at the BIS and at the Bank of England. So now they're telling us that they're concerned that about the Venezuelan people and their gold. It's total rubbish. And it just goes to show that these countries that are holding their physical gold at the Bank of England, they're making a big, big mistake. It's always good to have your gold as close to you as possible. So there you go, physical gold. That's why I recommend physical gold, even though there are some apps now like Glint that allow you to actually spend your gold as a currency. And I did that in Tenerife, as you can see here. I'm here in Tenerife. I'm going to use the Glint card, spend some gold and see how it works. You'll see you can spend gold anywhere in the world. Thank you. Gracias. I spent just over half a gram buying something there, and it was paid in euros, but it came off my gold account. Am I saying that I want to hold everything with Glint? No, just a bit. But it's a step towards gold becoming a currency again, in my opinion. And they don't hold their gold at the Bank of England anyway. They hold it in private vaults in your name. So what about the stock market? Well, you know, looking at the charts here, the Dow especially has rebounded quite well. Of course, it hasn't been able to make all-time highs again, but I read something interesting in The Economist, which I subscribe to now. I know it's a Rothschild magazine, but it's sometimes good to read what the enemy is thinking. And there's a section called Schumpeter right here. Schumpeter was an Austrian school economist. I'm not sure why they use that name for this, section. And it says the tech sell-off. And one interesting thing it says is, rarely in stock market history, and I'm quoting here, have so many investors made so much money from so few shares going up for so long. And this is the interesting part. Some 37% of the rise in the value of all firms in the S&P 500 index since 2013 is explained by 6 of its members: Alphabet, which is Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, and Netflix. About 28% of the rise in Chinese equities over the same period is owing to 2 firms, Alibaba and Tencent. Managers and investors have bought into a tale of effortless disruption by an elite of firms led by the world's brainiest people. So, you know, the Dow chart looks like it could retest the all-time high, even though I'm not convinced. But when you look at the NASDAQ, and I'm looking here at the NASDAQ 100 future, which isn't a composite, but this is what I got here. You see this chart, yeah, it has recovered, but it looks nowhere close to recovering to all-time highs. And as the Schumpeter section in The Economist said, more than a third of all the gains since 2013 in the overall market have been from these FANG stocks. So this doesn't look very good. Of course, I could be wrong. We could see a raging bull market and new highs, but in my opinion, if I had to be a bet on it, I wouldn't. I would probably be leaning more towards the betting on the downside. There you go. So I'm back. It's back to normal. I'll be doing my videos every day and some live streams, which I'll warn people in advance that I'll be doing. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.